Ray the Tuber said, "What's your favorite piece of lost media?" That's a really good question. I feel like I get asked this probably once like every stream. But I think I kind of figured out a list of my lost media, my favorite piece of lost media. So I'll take your question at face value and say like current piece of lost media. I won't go into the Kappa Mikey route with all the found stuff. It's like current pieces of lost media. So I think I tried to compile a top 5 and I only got to 4. So let's go down the list. Number 4 is the Batman Fights Dracula Filipino film. That is particularly interesting to me because of the fact that it's so old and unauthorized. When I first found the wiki article about that years ago, it always kind of struck me as being this really like weird, like, why does this even exist thing? Like, who would have thought, you know, a Batman movie from the Philippines existed back in the 60s, right? And like, it's lost to this day and hardly anyone has heard about it, and hardly any information is online about it to begin with. So for all those reasons, I found it particularly interesting, and that's why I decided to search for that one. And unfortunately, we haven't found much from it yet. It's just so hard because of how old it is. And on top of that, a lot of people I've talked to who are actually from the Philippines say that the archival of their the history of their films and stuff is just very, very poor. So even if we found a film reel, it would probably be maybe beyond repair, which is really a shame, but to me, it heightens the mystery. So number 3 on the list of things is the Jimmy Two Shoes pilot. Now, that is particularly interesting to me because I feel like it kind of gives me nostalgia for the Kappa Mikey pilot. The Kappa Mikey pilot was like a pitch to MTV that was shot down back in the day. Then Nickelodeon picked it up. But I went on like an 8-month search for that, and it was very fun. It was one of the first big searches I did by myself. And the Jimmy Two Shoes pilot almost feels like that to some extent, where you have this lost pilot from a popular kids cartoon that was originally more adult oriented, and it's been gone for 14 years, and only remnants of its existence and some concept art exist online. So that in itself was interesting to me in general. The fact that all this old concept art somehow found its way online, but no one has the actual thing. And I'm even more interested in it now than I was when I first started researching it, because I've gone through almost everyone I can think of: creators, directors, producers, animators, pretty much everyone on the Jimmy Two Shoes crew I've gone through, and no one has it. They've never seen it except the creators. Or like some other people I talked to didn't even know it existed. So that search is getting very like exciting, because, you know, it's unknown if we're ever going to see it again. I personally think we will. It'll just take a lot of digging, but I think someone who has is out there. It'll just be a matter of time. So number 2 on my list is the Me and My Friends pilot, which is the precursor to the Backyardigans. That's particularly interesting to me because it's so different than the final show. The final Backyardigans show is a CGI, like cartoon essentially, right? That aired on Nickelodeon for a really long time, or Nick Jr., I guess. But Me and My Friends was a live action pilot that used costumes of the main Backyardigans characters that was shot at the Nickelodeon studios in Florida, which doesn't even exist anymore. So on top of the fact that the pilot is lost, the location where it was shot is also kind of lost media in itself. So it's like double lost media. It makes it even more cooler. And that search is also very, very interesting because, well, it's had its ups and downs over the past few years, but recently a new Discord server has emerged, which I'm in, to really crack down and get this thing found. I'm actually surprised with how much progress we've made so far, which is really good because I haven't really picked that up in 3 or 4 years. So that's getting exciting too, because we're making all these leads. But what we're finding, again, kind of like Jimmy Two Shoes, is so many people who we thought were associated with it just were not. They've never heard of it before. Like music directors and producers and all kinds of people who worked on the final show had never heard of Me and My Friends before. So it seems like it was just this thing that was created with an entirely different crew and cast, which makes things even more complex, but again, for a really good mystery. And then the number one piece of lost media that I want to find, which is currently my favorite, is the Meso Blues pitch pilot, which unfortunately will maybe never resurface. So maybe here's a little update to Meso Blues. I did a video on it recently, and I talked about how, so Meso Blues is the precursor to Johnny Bravo. It was Van Partible, the creator's senior thesis, which he created in college and sold to Hanna-Barbera and Cartoon Network, which became Johnny Bravo. Now, in the video, and what I've known for a while, is that Van is probably the only person that has a copy of this, right? This Meso Blues pilot. And I had never been able to get into contact with him, and I've been trying for a couple years, so I didn't know that he even knew people were looking for it or that it was lost, right? So I kind of had high hopes that maybe once he found out there were people interested in it, he would want to release it. Unfortunately, that's not the case, because apparently people have reached out to him and gotten in contact with him over the course of those 2 years that I haven't been able to. And apparently he knows it's lost. He knows people want to see it, but he said he has no plans to release it. And that's pretty much it for that search, because I don't know anyone else who would have it. I also don't want to go through anyone else to get it. That feels kind of scummy. And Van is really the only one who has it, and he doesn't want to release it. So Maxwell Adams released his pilot, his Billy and Mandy pilot, for a horror film festival kind of thing a few years ago. So maybe Van Partible will at some point for some kind of event, but I honestly wouldn't really count on it, and that's too bad. Also, I just remembered what my fifth was to round this out as a top 5. Fifth is Slamfest, the live-action Smash Bros. Event, which was live-streamed over the internet in 1999. I did a lot of research on that back in May. Here's a little summary for you guys on that. I contacted 2 former Nintendo employees who I believe had a direct hand in its creation. One of them never said anything to me after many, many, many months. The other one finally said something to me, but I didn't ask straight up if they had a hand in Slamfest. I said, hey, I'm looking for something. Can you help me? And they said, yes, I can help you. What do you have? And then I sent them the thing about Slamfest. I'm like, hey, do you know about this? And they haven't seen it yet, so who knows if they will. But then one of my older contacts about Slamfest, who sort of gave me the contact info for those 2 people, I went back to them and said, hey, these 2 people aren't really talking to me. I can't get in touch with them. Can you help me? And they actually said they would help me. So that was a few weeks ago. So there's this big kind of network going on with trying to get information for Slamfest. But I believe if we can get in contact with those people, we will have it found. So no worries on that. I believe that will get found eventually. So those are my top 5 favorite pieces right now. Hopefully that answered your question. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out some of my other game-related lost media videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Finn.